subject of our Torah. This week's Haftorah is tied to the Parsha in the sense that the Parsha talks about the Nazir and the laws concerning Nazir. The Haftorah concerns Samson, or Shimshon HaGibor, Samson the hero. And it's a very strange story, as it were. Here you have this fellow who grows up. He's a Nazir, he's a Nazir from birth. He had no choice in becoming a Nazir. In other words, his parents are told, your son will be a Nazir. And his entire life he's a Nazir. Not like somebody who sees a fault within himself and becomes a Nazir, usually for a month, to correct whatever fault it is that he has within him. Samson, did not have this issue. And he goes off, and he also has impulses that he can't control. His main impulse is to save the Jewish people. That is an impulse that he has that is paramount. But he also has other impulses, to put it mildly. He sees a beautiful woman, doesn't care if she's Jewish or not. In other words, he's pretty much an interesting character. And in the end, it's his impulses that drag him down because, as we all know the story with Delilah, she asks him what the source of his strength is when he's drunk, and he tells her, it's my hair. So she gives him a haircut. And then he's done in, but his final act is, of course, to destroy the Philistine temple where they have him. But this gives us a object lesson about leadership. Samson is not a leader, but people look up to him. He's their savior. He will save them from everything going on with the Philistines at the time. Much like in the ancient world, a lot of times the Greeks or the Romans would appoint somebody to be a dictator, and that's what they were, to save them from some national emergency. The fact is, what the Haftorahs come to tell us is don't rely on their leader. If you look throughout history, in modern times, the leader of North Korea is called their leader. The leader of Iran is the supreme leader. If you go to North Korea, they'll take you to the grave of the founder of North Korea. You go to the Soviet or Russia, by the way, to this day you have Lenin in Red Square. And China, they have Mao in state in Beijing. In Nazi Germany, you took allegiance not to the law, but not to Germany, but to Hitler himself, the Führer. Mussolini, El Duce, is the leader. In other words, in all these countries, and like our leaders, a lot of times they're flawed individuals. They make mistakes, but what makes them great leaders is not that they themselves have these abilities, but they know who to tap to bring out the best in everybody around them. If you notice, one of the keys to a good president isn't that he is looking at every detail. It's that he has people under him look at every detail. They just bring the solutions up to him. They tell him, this is where we think we should go, and he trusts them to be the leaders. And this is the mistake that the story of Samson is trying to tell us. Samson was a flawed individual. He was a hero. He was the hero that we needed at that time. But he could not be the savior of the Jewish people because of his flaws, his internal flaws. That his parents never said to him one word, which was no. They let him get away with whatever he wanted. And a leader has to also be able to say no. He also has to be able, that he has to attain leadership through hard work. He could start off rich, he could start off poor. But the point is, he has to get there on his merit. Something to think about.